And now you can see this is a table where I have entered roll number, name and age. And let me save it again. And now you can see the first row is appearing moreover as a header. Now out of that 100%, 20% will be given for the name, 70% will be given for the address and 10% will be given to the gender. So now you can see it is showing a timetable to me, and there is one more point to mention over here. And now you can see there is one single column for the header which is coming for these two different columns. Now you can see this row is spanned for two different rows. Hey guys, I'm Amit Kumar and welcome to this video in which we are going to talk about HTML tables. Now table element helps to arrange data in rows and columns. So if you see this specific image over here, which is nothing but a table, so these horizontal sections are nothing but rows and these vertical sections are nothing but columns. So when you want to arrange things in rows and columns, you can take help of HTML tables. Now TR tag is used for table rows, TD tag is used for table data or table columns. We also use TH tag in place of TD tag specifically for the header cells. So basically you might have seen tables with the first row as header cells. Like the text written over there are much bolder, much bigger in size. So if you want to show heading of that specific column in a much bolder way, you can use TH tag in place of TD tag. Border is an attribute which can be used with the table. If you won't specify this border attribute to the table lines will not show over there. So the lines that are shown in a table will vanish if you won't specify this border attribute. So by default, an HTML table does not have any border. Width attribute can be used with table header to set widths of columns, and height attribute can be used with table rows to set height of a row. Now it is highly recommended to use percentage as value to these height and width rather than specifying pixels. Because what will happen, your web page can open on different screen sizes. So if you are specifying a specific pixel, then sometimes that HTML tables may break or may appear only partial part of it. Or it may be very small according to the screen size if we will specify in pixels. So that's why it is highly recommended to use percentage as value of height and width, so that according to the height and width of the screen, it will automatically adjust the height and width of the columns or rows. We can make vertical table headers by defining the first cell in each row as TH element. So in each row, if you will specify the first cell as TH, so instead of giving the table heading as the first row of the table, it will give the table heading as the first column of the table. So in that case, that may appear as a vertical table. Align attribute can be used in TR for table row or in TD for table cell, and you can align it to left, center or right. So the content of it will be aligned accordingly. Caption tag can be used to provide caption of the table. And it is point to note here that caption tag should be used just after the table tag, so that the caption should be provided to that specific table. Now captions are nothing but those extra texts that specify about, that tells us about that specific image or that specific object. You might have seen in your books, whenever any specific image or any specific figure is mentioned over there, a caption is written over there like image 1.1 or figure 1.2 and the name of the figure, like what this figure is actually showing. So that is nothing but a caption. Similarly, you can provide a caption to your table. Colspan attribute can be used in TH and TD tags to increase the span of column. Similarly, Rowspan attribute can be used in TH and TD tags to increase the span of rows. So when you want your column, your specific cell to take space of more than one column, you can use Colspan. And similarly, whenever you want a specific cell to take space for more than one rows, you can use Rowspan. And the value of this column span and the value of this row span is actually specifying the number of columns or the number of rows that specific cell will occupy. So if you specify Colspan as 2 for any specific cell, so that specific cell will take space of 2 columns, and the same goes for Rowspan. So it's pretty much of talk, and now it's time to see the things practically. Hey guys, so here we are on our VS Code, and let's add some HTML files for our HTML tables. So I'm going to create a new file over here named as table1.html, and I'm going to add the default structure for the HTML page. I'm going to add one title over here. So let me name it as title, and let me name it as HTML table 1, and let me create one table over here. So as I told you, to create a table we have a table tag or table element. Now for each row in this table we have a tr tag, so let me add that tr tag, and for each cell in that row we have a td tag, so let me add that td as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to print 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So there will be 3 rows, and each row will have 3 columns. So there will be 3 TRs, and each TR will have 3 TD. So let me just rename them, and let me save this file. We can certainly refresh this to get the HTML table section, and from here we can open our table 1. Now you can clearly see the table is visible over here, or the data 1 to 9 is shown in form of a table. But definitely it doesn't looks like a table, right? So to make it appear as a table, we need to add a border attribute. So let me add a border attribute over here. Let me specify the size of the border as 1. Let me just save it, and here you can see now it is appearing moreover like a table. Now that's how we create a table in HTML. Now as I told you, the first specific row of any certain table is nothing but a header row, right? And for specifying a header row cells, instead of applying a td, we used to apply a th in place of it. So let me create another table file over here as table2.html. And let me add in the code that I have already written in table 1, and now I'm going to make changes in this table. Now this table is going to hold roll number, name as well as age, and let me add 2 records over here. So for roll number 1, the name should be Amit Kumar and the age is 34. For roll number 2, let the name should be Spur Singh and let the age should be 12. Let me save this. Let me go back, and before I make any changes, let me change the title of this page as HTML table 2. Let me refresh this page and let me open table 2. So here's the title, and now you can see this is a table where I have entered roll number, name and age, but all the cells appears to be the same. As I told you, we can make changes in the cells of the header row with help of th. So let me rename it to th, in fact all 3 of them, and let me save it again. And now you can see the first row is appearing moreover as a header. And now let's create a table with some more attributes like width and height. So let me create a table for that. So I'm adding table3.html over here. I'm copying the code from table2.html itself, and now here I'm going to create a new table with some other values. Let's suppose it can be name, address and gender. Let me add in some name, address and gender. So guys, here is the table with few values. Let me just save it. So let me go back, refresh it and open table 3. Let me change the title of it as HTML table 3, and here you go. So as you can see here, the name, address and gender is appearing as different rows or different records over here. If you want, we can change the width and height of a specific row or specific column. Now to change the width of a specific column, we can specify width to the th or the td of that specific cell. So I am going to change the width of name. Now we can specify it in form of pixels, but I would always recommend to specify it in percentage. So the width of the name will be of 20%, the width of address will be of 70%, and the width of the gender should be of 10%. Let me save this. Let me refresh this page. and you can see it is appearing like that. But let me change the table width itself. Let me make it 100% of the screen size. So the width of the table is 100%. Now out of that 100%, 20% will be given for the name, 70% will be given for the address, and 10% will be given to the gender. Now similarly, you can specify the width of any certain column by specifying the width attribute in the th. Similarly, if we want to change the height of the table, we can specify it over here in the tr element, and that specific row will occupy that much size. But it varies and it depends on the total size of the table. Now, as I told you, we can also make vertical headers, and now I am going to create a table with a vertical header. Now what does that mean? It means that the header will not be on this first row, instead of that it will be on this first column. So for making that, let me create another HTML page. I'm just copying the code of table3.html. I will change the title of it, and now I'm going to remove the first row itself. I'm going to remove the width of the total table. Let me save this and let me open the HTML4. Let me refresh it and click on HTML4, and here's the code. Now I'm going to specify the header as the first column rather than as different columns. First of all, let me change the contents or the td elements over here. So I'm going to remove the rest of the tr, and I'm going to make change in the first tr itself, which I will copy paste for the rest of them. So I'm just removing the content from here. So as you can see, I have added these subjects for 8 to 9 a.m. and this is basically for one specific day. Each column will be referring, like this will refer Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Similarly, there will be different time durations, so let me make changes for that. But as I told you, I want to make the first column as header. So what I will do is I will make it th instead of td. I will save, and that will appear as a header. Now I'm just copy pasting this for different time durations. And as you can see, I have added few more rows with those values. So now you can see it is printing time and it is printing subjects for that specific time. Now I want to specify days as well. So I need one more row in front of it. So let me add one more tr before any other rows, and there will be 6 different columns, right? So let me add those 6 different columns over here. And let me specify the name of the day. So let it be Monday, Tuesday and like that. And as you can see, I want to specify these specific rows or the first row itself as header. So instead of td, I'm going to make it as th. And let me save this. So now you can see it is showing a timetable to me. And there is one more point to mention over here, that I'm not having the first row itself as the header row. I'm having the first column as well as header. So wheresoever you will apply this th, that specific column will show as a header column. Now the next thing to understand is the align attribute. What I want is I want to align all the elements in center. Now definitely the columns or the cells which are header will definitely appear as center, but the normal td won't. So there are two ways to do that. Either I can use the align attribute and make it as center in all the cells, or I can make all the row appear as center. So see how I'm going to do that. In all the table rows, I'm going to add the align attribute, providing the value as center to it. And you can see now the values are appearing as center. Now you might wonder like why the social science is not appearing as center and even mathematics. That's because of the length of the cell. So you won't get the same thing if you will increase the table width as 100% and for all the table headers of the same size. So let me do that as well. So I am making the table width is equals to 100% and saving it. And now you can see all the table cells are appearing as align as center. Now there were two more attributes that we have discussed, that were column span and row span. So let me show you that with the help of another HTML file. So let me create table5.html and let me copy paste the code from here and let me remove the first row. So this is table 5. Let me save this. Let me go back, refresh over here and open table5.html. Now these are the values that are shown over there. Now let's suppose there is a specific column which I want to appear in the span of two columns. Now to make it more meaningful, let me change the content over here. Now we know this is the first name and this is the last name and this is the gender. So definitely we can create another header over here. So let me create a header over here that will represent the first name, the last name and the gender, but I don't want to specify these two columns as separate headers. So let me show you that. So now you can see these two represents the name, but both of them is having the same header. So what I can do is I can make these two columns to show as a single column in the header. That means I want to create only one column in the header, but the span of that column should be the size of two columns. So what I can do is I can remove one of the column from the table header and now I can increase the span of this first column, and the attribute to use for that is Colspan, and here I can specify the number of columns I want it to span for. So it will span for two columns. Let me save this, and now you can see there is one single column for the header which is coming for these two different columns. Now similarly we can increase the row span as well. Now you can see the first two rows both representing the male gender. So instead of printing male twice, I can increase the row span of this specific TD to appear as two different. So how I'm going to do that? I'm removing the male from parsing. I can see, and I'm going to increase the row span of this specific cell. So I will come to this TD, I will make it row span and I will make it for 2. Now you can see this row is spanned for two different rows. Now guys, that marks the end of this video. See you soon in the next video. Till then, thank you and take care.